Are you in for the yoga kitty? Are you in for the hour? Mr. Kitty Potts? I will go ahead and do this too. Make ourselves comfortable. Okay. Make sure your seat is comfortable and supportive of an upright spine and that you have lots of space to breathe. Notice any lift or any holding up in the shoulders, top of the back or the neck, the muscles of the neck. Let the shoulders release back, release down. Encourage that with your out breath, with your exhalation. Just give yourself another minute or so just to arrive come deeply into your breathing body. Take 2 or 3 more breaths. So the rootedness, the grounded feeling of the floor beneath you, the ground beneath you. And a complementary corresponding sense of your upper body having this sense of lightness, of lift. Find some ease in the way your breath moves your breathing structures, your spine, bones of your pelvis, diaphragm, the abdomen. And take another breath after you finish the breath you're taking. Finish the exhale and take one more breath. Let your eyes come open. We'll come from here onto your back. Let's come off of your support or your prop if you were using support under your hips, down onto your back, and bring your knees into your chest. And as you're breathing here, moving your knees away from you as you breathe in and a little bit towards you as you breathe out. And just kind of feel again how your breath affects the movement of your spine and the movement of your hips. And if the lower part of your back would enjoy a little bit of circular movement around that wide area of the low back, and take your knees in circles. Take another couple of breaths. Then you can let go of your knees. Let's take the left leg into extension. Let the right knee fall wide to the right or the floor. Right, and then stand the foot back up and push into the inner edge of the foot. Turn the hips. The right arm makes this little kind of sliding motion downward. And then come back onto your back. Right knee wide, let your foot just slide down to the end of your mat. And then like tree pose or Baddha Konasana, bring the knee wide, stand the foot on the floor, push into the floor to turn your hips. Little arch in the back, so the weight of your right arm slides down a bit. And if your head turns, you might also allow your head to turn a little bit to the right. And then everything comes back into gravity to the floor. Let your right foot slide back down. Let's do two more. Playing with gravity, playing with weight, playing with gravity. Balance the weight across the upper back, your shoulders, your hips, and your two legs. And then bring the left foot up to stand. Let the left knee fall wide to the side. Stand the foot up, cross the knee over the midline, turn the hips. The left arm kind of slide its way down with your, maybe your head falls a bit to the left. Come back onto your back, drop the knee wide, slide the foot back down, long left leg. Like tree pose or Baddha Konasana, wide left knee, then stand the foot on the floor, then push, then turn, and release. And three more. Two or three more. Both legs long, both arms away from your sides, balanced weight across your two sides. And then both feet come up to stand. Let's take a breath in. Arms stay down alongside you. Come up into bridge pose as you breathe out. So take a breath in here. And exhale. And hold. So I'm gonna roll the upper arms in underneath you a bit more so you could use the support of arms and shoulders. Push into the feet. Take three more breaths. Inhale, spine to the floor, hips to the floor. Okay, then bring your hands together behind your head and then take a breath in, push, lift the chest, a little arch in the spine, and then on the exhale, elbows in, head up, shoulders up, knees to elbows. Inhale, feet to the floor, head and arms to the floor. Exhale. Rounding, rolling up, pulling up. Inhale, come down. Exhale. Make yourself into a little ball. Let's do one more. And then you can let the head go, feet to the floor, arms beside you, take a breath. And let's take the legs up into the air and then cross one ankle over the other ankle. Bring your hands together behind your head. Again, you're going to lift and hold the head and the shoulders up off the floor. And then just curl the tailbone toward you a little bit. Doesn't have to be a big movement. At your own pace, just do 10. So just a little flattening of the low back and then release, and then do the other cross of your ankles in 10 more. Eyes at the ceiling. Yeah, and then arms can go, feet can go back to the floor, legs can go long. Let's take the arms overhead, just reach, hook thumbs together, pull. And then arms wide, legs up in the air. Again, but legs together, right? Toes kind of pointed at the ceiling, and then find that circle around your lower back again. Exhale toward you. Inhale away from you. And it might feel subtle, but there is a lot of activation happening in the low belly as you circle around and come toward you with your feet. Might feel it in the side abdominals. Do a few more in this direction, like 4 more, and then we'll go the other way. So the circle can be as wide or as small as you like. Yeah. Come to a point and reverse that circle. Do 3 more. Yeah, good. And then feet to the floor, wide as your mat, away from the backs of your hips a little bit. Draw both knees to the right. Let your head fall a little bit to the left. Bring your knees up, drop both knees to the left. Your head fall a little bit to the right. It's back and forth like that. It's heavy, loose, releasing tension, releasing any strain, just letting go of the movement, letting go of the posing and the moving. A couple more to each side. Okay, so let's come from there onto your side. So we're gonna come up from your back. Just swing yourself around into a comfortable seat. Bring the arms up overhead. I'm just crossed at the shins. You could be crossed maybe a little more at the ankles. Reach forward, forward fold, hands out in front of you. Gaze toward the floor, gaze down, chin in. Then slide or walk your hands back up and then just switch the cross of your legs. Just do a little outer hip opener, spinal extension, cross legs, forward fold. Then slide your hands back up and come from your seat onto all fours. Bring yourself up onto your hands, knees. Let's step into the high push-up position. Okay, which could be the full high push-up position, could be modified to your knees, but back with your knees behind your hips. So the full high push-up position, take a few breaths, or modified to your knees. Drop to the knees and either sit back on your feet or just press back into child's pose. Just come out of your shoulders, come out of your hands, come out of your shoulders for a breath or two. Okay. Come forward again. Let's stay on the knees. And then drop down to one elbow, drop down to one forearm, drop down to the other forearm, get back into one hand, press yourself back up. And just repeat the same order. So the same arm goes down first, the same hand pushes you back up. You can do this with your knees off the ground if you like. You want to challenge yourself to push more weight up and down. I like just about this amount of work in that sort of one arm at a time, half push-ups, and then switch the order. So go down first with your other elbow forearm, back up in that same side hand first. Three more. Breathe. And then press back. Child's pose, knees wide, toes together, arms down alongside you. Take a breath or two. Okay, and then let's come to forearms and take a forearm plank pose. So the modified plank pose a little closer to the floor. Take 5 breaths and then dolphin pose. So dolphin plank pose and then dolphin pose. 5 breaths here. You could still be modified with knees on the floor or knees up. Full dolphin plank pose. Good. Exhale. Push into your elbows. Start to tippy toe your feet forward. Push into elbows and forearms. Drop your head, look back, bring your feet forward, lift your tailbone, lift and tilt sit bones upward. Keep pressing into forearms until you feel your chest move back toward your thighs a bit. Take one more breath. Knees down. Sit or child's pose, breath or two. Okay, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Then one more breath in downward facing dog. One more breath in both arms, both hands, both shoulders. And then put one hand behind your back. Just push all of the weight over into the same one hand, and you lengthen that arm and lengthen the side rib cage on that side. So try to keep us a kind of a balanced sense of the length of the left rib cage and the right rib cage. One more breath, one arm, single arm, downward facing dog, and then switch. Both hands back on the floor. You might just pause and take a breath there. And then push, lift, take the other arm behind your back. Your weight is off balance, right? You are going to be a little bit off balance, but just push and lift and extend. One more breath on this side. Both hands back to downward facing dog. You could just take a few breaths in down dog or come and drop down to your knees and come out of your hands if you want. A couple of more breaths. Good. And then from downward facing dog. So if you're down, come back up. Downward facing dog. Both hands, one leg. Take one leg up into the air. Feel how your weight shifted in your hands. Try to push equal weight through both palms again. One more breath. Good. Both feet, both hands down. We're facing dog. Come down if you want to come down in between, right? And when you're ready, 5 breaths, your other leg up in the air. Feel the shift of weight in your hands. Try to put equal weight back into both palms. One more breath. There's both feet down, both knees down, wide, toes together. Child's pose, arms down alongside you. welcome just to sit back on your feet if that's comfortable, any comfortable position, but up where you can just bring your hands together, interlace your fingers, and just kind of swim your hands around your wrists a few times. Let's open the backs of the wrists. There's a lot of time for your palms. Right? And just like fists and then wide fingers, fists and then wide fingers, fists and then wide fingers. Okay, and then let's come up to stand. See if you can work your way onto your feet without using your hands. Your knees, under you. Okay, and then you're standing up. Mountain pose, take a breath, upright, heels under your hips, balanced weight across the two soles of your feet. Feel that. Shift weight from one foot to the other and then feel balanced weight through the soles of both feet. With your next breath, take your arms wide overhead. Lift your heels straight up off the floor. Lift yourself straight up through the crown of your head, onto the balls of your feet, and then down. Inhale up. So more up than forward. Down on the exhale, up on the inhale. You use the upward lift of your arms to help your spine just come straight up. Do 3 more. Oh, okay, and then we'll take tree pose. We'll take 5 breaths in tree pose. And then if you can, without losing balance, so trying to stay on that same side standing leg, you'll take the lifted foot, into your hand or big toe into your hand and do standing into big toe pose. Let's start in tree, start in Vrikshasana. Lifted knee rotated outward, or thigh rotated outward at the hip so the knee could turn more out. Yeah, use whatever support you have at hand. You want the support of a chair, or if you want the support of the wall. And then when you're ready, bring the knee forward. Now lift the knee up so you can reach down and grab the outside of the foot or the big toe, and then stand yourself back up tall again. Bring your shoulders back, spine upright, and then you're either kind of out in front of you with your lifted foot, or out in front of you and then wide to the side. Wow. Pick a point of focus for your gaze. Find your balance again. Or just fall. Fatigued right leg, right hip. One more breath. Mountain pose, right? Just feel the sensation of the pose. Leave your hips, your feet, and your legs. Stand in mountain pose until you feel fully in mountain pose again. Second side when you're ready. Feel your weight shift. 5 breaths, tree pose, 5 breaths. Lifted hand to foot. Five breaths, come down. Okay, and then step your feet apart. Right, so that your toes are facing the long edge of your mat. And when you fold forward, right, your thighs are doing a little bit of this, rolling inward. Outer edges of your feet really rooted and grounded, but turn the inner edges of the backs of your thighs more back, more away from you. Be strong in your legs, right? Let it not be too passive. Let there be some firmness in your legs as you press back through your knees. The inner edges of the backs of your thighs, but then don't lose the outer edges of your feet. Take one more breath. Bring yourself back up, hands to knees, or lift through the upper back to come up. Let's go for mountain pose again. And if you want to, again, start this at the wall or at the back of the chair. You're going to start a little bit like thread the needle pose, right? Ankle to knee, ankle just above the top of your knee, and then fold. I've got one hand on the wall, so I can get one hand to the floor. Then maybe I can have both hands on the floor. Drop your head, look back. And keep one hand on the floor and bring one hand to the foot. Which side works better? Same side hand to foot or opposite hand to foot. You still got one hand on the floor. Ankle cross to knee. You should be getting a little bit of like pigeon pose in the outer hip of the lifted leg. Come closer with your hand that's still on the floor. Just challenge yourself to balance on your foot. Not your hand on the floor when you need it. One more breath. Good. Both sets of fingers on the floor. Lean forward a little bit so you can uncross the ankle. And then from Uttanasana, forward fold, hands to hips, lift through your upper back. Second side. Ankle to knee, flex the ankles, sit the hips back, slide one hand down the wall, reach the other hand to the floor, and then both hands to the floor. Drop your head, look back. Start to bring one hand to the ankle, one hand around the back of the ankle. The other hand a little closer. Just making your base of support a little smaller and a little smaller and then a little smaller and then maybe just your foot. One more breath. Lean a little bit forward. Let that lifted ankle slide off from Uttanasana, roll up through your spine to come up. And then take a breath in mountain pose. Ooh, and then from the top of your mat, take an inhale and reach your arms over your head. And then on the exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a half forward fold. Shoulder blades down the spine, neck long, collarbones broad. Chest open, take a breath in. Bring palms to the floor, step your feet back to a high push-up position. Inhale. Exhale, come down as slowly as you can. Put abdomen to the floor, tops of your feet to the floor. Pull your chest forward, firm your glutes, firm your hips. Take another breath in here, where you're just holding the arms close. Squeeze the arms and the elbows in close. Good. Then do a push-up, knees on the floor, push-up. Slide your hands down a little bit till they're under your elbows. Elbows in tight to your sides. Push straight down to come up. Hips back, curl your toes under, downward facing dog. Let's do that one more time from the high push-up position. Shift. Squeeze in, feel shoulder blades clamp onto the back of your rib cage. Then as slowly as you can, elbows close. Squeeze into lower down, hold tight, hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. All the way down. Then low cobra, toes back, elbows in, firm, hold on. Another breath. Slide the palms down just a bit. Push straight down, elbows in close. Do a push-up. Downward facing dog. Take 3 more breaths. Turn your head from side to side in downward facing dog. Shift forward, drop your knees to the floor. Let's take feet to one side, hips to the other side, so you could swing your legs forward. Easy pose. Bring your left arm into the air as you breathe in. As you breathe out, rotate, bring the back of your hand to the right knee, and your right hand behind you. Simplest seated spinal twist. One more breath here. Inhale, release, come forward. Take your right arm into the air. Exhale across. Outside, left knee, press, turn. We'll uncross. Feet to the floor. You don't have to be too close behind the hips. Maybe bring a little bit of space between your hips and the backs, your heels and the backs of your hips. And then you're back on your palms. If this bothers the wrists too much, angle any angle of your hand. And once you go up, right, if you're going to come up, that's going to feel different once you come up, right? So this is more strain on your wrist once you're up. This is more strain on your wrist just leaning back. But then once you're up, it's a little bit less. But be anywhere you want to be with your hands, right? Hands turned outward is kind of a nice, happy medium. You want to push the chest, use the arms and the shoulders and the upper back muscles to lift your chest. You could just stay here. Breathe. You should still feel your arms, right? You're leaning some weight into your arms and then resisting the floor with your hands. You should feel a lot of arms. You are bearing weight, but then if you want to come up, reverse tabletop. Two more breaths. Squeeze your hips to lift your hips. You can get your hips in line with your shoulders and your knees. Yeah. Easy pose. Come out of your hands. And then come into cow face pose. Let's just do a little bit of kind of rotation and release at the shoulders. So take right arm around your back, right? Or maybe you can start to get the hand to move toward the spine. Strap is handy for this, but you don't want to like yank too hard on the shoulder. You just want to find a comfortable range of motion, internal rotation at the shoulder. And you can just stay here with the bottom arm in the pose and just push the back of your hand, wherever that hand happens to land, that comfortable edge, or your top arm can come up. That is externally rotated. The top arm is externally rotated at the shoulder. One more breath. Let both arms go. Just set both hands on your knees and very gently, loosely roll the shoulders. Lift the arms and the shoulders, roll back, drop, lift, roll back, drop. Okay, and then left arm, go Mukhasana, left arm around the back and up the spine. If this is your non-dominant arm, you might have a little bit more play. And then your right arm up, fingers touch or not. You can just have the bottom arm in the pose. One more breath. All the way up. Good. We'll soft roll in the shoulders again. Okay. And then let's do either one more reverse tabletop pose or reverse plank pose. Okay. 5 breaths. Options. Right. So you're just going to come right back in here and do a lift of your hips with your feet on the floor. Take 5 breaths, or long legs. Same arms, same push of the floor, same lift of your chest. And then you really strongly point your toes away from you. Take a breath in on the exhale. Dig your heels into the ground and lift your hips off the floor. And you're down. And you're down. I've done that in a little while. It's a little challenging, especially now with the arms and the shoulders, a little fatigued. Okay, let's come out and just turn hands around wrists a few times. Okay, and then eagle pose, Garudasana in your arms. So, right, just this sitting. Okay, one more breath and come down and switch arms. Switch the cross. Two more breaths. And unentwine, let the arms go. And then let's do Marichyasana. So let's start with the right leg extended and the left foot standing up on the floor. Right, we're gonna lean a little bit, just as much as you need to. Lean a little bit to the right. Got right hand on the floor, so I could get my left arm, I get my spine forward, my left shoulder a little bit ahead of the knee. The knee is standing straight up. Try to get my shoulder at least in line with the knee, so that when I come out, internally rotate my arm at the shoulder, I can get my elbow to fold around the front of my shin. And then the back of my hand is just against the back of my hip. Then from there, we want to try to be, well, you can do two things. You can either forward fold, so bringing nose toward knee, or you can sit up a little taller in the pose and rotate away from the leg. Okay, so if you come and you get the arm to wrap, then can you just sit back a little bit into this sit bone? So you're up a little higher, shoulder right at the knee, so you can sit up a little taller, and then your other hand wraps also internally rotating. You just join hands together behind your back, rotating away from the lifted knee, but your gaze forward. Shoulder rotation. More really shoulder rotation than spinal twist. One more breath. Let the arms go loose, let the shoulders go loose. Take both legs out in front. Take a breath. And try the other side. Shoulder to knee. Turn the palm away, rotate, wrap. Sit up a little taller. You could just fold toward your extended leg. Other arm in internal rotation. Sit up as tall as you can. Take two more breaths. Let the arms go. And then bring yourself onto your back. Back onto your back. Okay, let's go out wide, relaxed arms away from your sides, and then crawl your feet a little forward away from your hips and then wide to the edges of your mat. And then let both knees fall to one side. If that produces some corresponding movement or rotation in your shoulders or the opposite side arm or your head, just let that happen. Don't push. And bring your knees up. Draw both knees to the other side. Or just let things move under their own weight with gravity. And the rest of you just kind of slides and glides along with where your knees and your hips are going. So just take your time, side to side, a couple of times to each side. Linger if you feel like lingering in one side or both. Let's do one more to each side. Good. Knees up. Let the heels slide down to the corners of your mat or out toward the corners of your mat, a little maybe wider than hips distance, and then anywhere you want to be with your arms, but where you can still comfortably allow the arms to externally rotate at the shoulders. So they're turned up. Support this however much more you would like to support Shavasana. So meaning blanket behind your head, blanket under your knees. Let go of any tension, any holding at the hinge of your jaw, your lower mandible. Your tongue rests softly in the lower mandible. Feel your body at rest. Feel the easeful movement of breath. Keep returning, just keep coming back to what is the source of your breath? What is the impulse in your cells that makes breath happen? Right down to the most subtle level. Your cells oxygenating and reoxygenating themselves. Let's take 3 more breaths. Bring yourself to one side, just with as little effort as possible. Let your body weight find its way over to one side. And you're ready, push. Give yourself a little push up. Feel your way to a comfortable seat. Take a moment here to breathe, take a breath, close your practice. Palms together in front of your heart. Deep vows to your own inner source, your own inner resource. Namaste. Thanks for your time as always. Once again, thanks for your time, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a lovely next couple of days.
Very much. See
You're
you
welcome.
next week.
Okay.